Hello, good evening and welcome to the Transfer Agenda show from the LFC Daytrippers. We done this over the summer and, you know, it was a popular enough show because everybody loves talking about transfers. So we said we'll rehash it now for the January window because it seems like Liverpool could do with a bit of business and we all know where, but we're going to spend this show discussing some names that are being linked at centre-back, but also the shape of the squad going forward and any work that Liverpool may have to do. I know Seany wants to touch on something about the midfield going forward as well. So we look at the squad makeup overall as well and see what work needs to be done or can be done there. So I'm the host, Keith, and I'm joined tonight by Grizz and Seany. Lads, how are you?
Yeah, good, not too bad. Feels a bit weird talking apart from a Sunday on a podcast. I mean, I know we talk off podcast, but you know, it's a bit weird, isn't it? We're talking on a what day is it today?
Tuesday.
Everyone's locked down. Days don't matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point.
Doing drafts and quizzes and all that. So
yeah, that's a very good point. But yeah, people asking about my hat. It's I haven't been feeling too well. So just being on the safe side, erring on the safe side as I'm in a conservatory. Been doing the old spin classes on my own as well. So I'm just making sure, you know, I don't get ill.
No, that I thought it was more just a fashion thing, Grizz, but you know,
I'm past the fashion thing, man. You know, who have I got to impress now? Do you know?
I don't know. The good Adidas original shell tracksuit is rocking that fairly well.
Yeah, do you know what, Sean? I've always been an Adidas man. I know Liverpool, Nike, and I should be sort of looking to.
You really are.
I'm really an Adidas.
Well, I know Phil Casey has huge issues with Nike as well. He was saying that he thinks Liverpool should scrap Nike and just go back to New Balance. So Phil might be onto something there. We don't know, but. Yeah, Adidas Originals, good man, Grizz, flying the flag. People will be proud of you there. So we're going to talk. What we're going to do tonight, lads, is we're going to just look at some of the names that are being linked and look, we're crying out for a centre-back. We all know that. Will there be a centre-back signing? Who are the names in the mentions? And what do we think will happen? Right, so Grizz, I'm going to start with you. Do you think we're going to do business in January for a centre-back? First off.
Keith, I think it's I think the unanimous opinion of every Liverpool fan, you know, you ask that question would be, it's not a case of thinking about it. We 100% should, and in my opinion, we 100% will. But as we discussed before in a recent show, it is a tricky one for FSG. Now, I'm not, you know, going to be pro FSG and say, oh, you know, they can't find anyone in the market, but it is a difficult market to find someone who's capable of stepping right in. You know, let's look at the criteria that we're looking for. We're looking for a centre back to step right in right now. Someone who's going to come sort of handy in future years to come as well, and someone of a level that's sort of above or around the Matip Gomez level. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it is a very tricky one. I know it's easy to say just go and get one, you know, with our scouting network. We should be, and we will. You know, I'm sure we can, but it is a difficult one because we know what January's like.
January is a tricky month, and Seany, I think that's the, you know, Grizz touches on something there about, you know, it has to be the right player. It has to be someone that's better than the young lads that are there in Williams and Phillips, and of the level of at least a Matip and Gomez. Now, do you think it's an easy thing to do, go out and sign a centre back of that caliber? As in, right, we could go out and sign a big name centre back, but we're not going to get a big name centre back in January. So is the stopgaps that we're being linked with, are they good enough? And we're going to touch on them in a few minutes, but is the type of, do we have to be careful what we do with this one?
Yeah, exactly. Like Keith, you hit the nail on the head there. This isn't like the days when Klopp was forced here and Stephen Colco would do the job. Like,
yeah,
we're trying to win league titles and European Cups here. So we need someone at the level. And as Grid made a great point there, normally when Klopp makes a signing, he likes the bedding in process. He likes the rhythm. He likes them getting up to speed. Like, if you remember, Robbo didn't get into this team until October, November time, signed in the summer. So that seems to be a common theme. With the fairness, the exception to the rule was maybe Virgil, who was outstanding and he came straight in. So look, we're obviously not going to make another Virgil level signing. Like, that's just not going to happen at the moment. But we need somebody to come in right now because it's an emergency situation. Let's be honest. I think hindsight being 2020, we definitely missed the boat in the summer, not bringing in and replacing someone with Lovren. Now, obviously, at the time, we thought, okay, you look at Matip, you look at Gomez, and you look at Virgil, and then you have Fabinho to deputise there if need be. Now we're in a situation where Fabinho is the most senior centre-half in the club, and we got away with it for a while, but now it's starting to affect performances because we had to go away to Southampton last night with two of our most influential centre midfielders playing in centre-back, and it's starting to affect the rhythm of the team, and it's having a knock-on effect now. We're not getting the results anymore, so now the heat is on. We desperately need a body in here, and it needs to be someone who can come in and hit the ground running. So it's weird that kind of pressure is going to be on somebody because the profile of players we're looking at, they're all very young. They're not all that, like, we haven't had any experienced names thrown about. I know Alaba is thrown out, but that's the pipe dream. You know what I mean? That's the one that is no way near going to happen.
Yeah.
So it is a tricky situation, Keith. But I think there's also opportunity there because there's a lot of clubs around Europe who need money and they have assets. So we should be ruthless and we should be getting business done. It's only the first week. It's the 5th of January, but we could have had a bit of foresight here and had a deal done already. I feel that's being hypocritical because this situation has been ranging on since October. So, yeah, look, if you don't do business, it's pure neglect. And if you don't do business, then it's a really, really tough ask to ask this team to be bringing in silverware this year.
See, the thing, sorry, Keith, just to jump in there 1 second. I'm so sorry. The thing most telling for me in Klopp's recent quotes with regards to bringing in a centre-back was when he said after the last game that it's not a case of doing something. It's a case of doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a total denial, which makes sense because the right thing to do is fix that centre-back issue or help fix that centre-back issue, which means bringing someone in. You know, again, yesterday's selection, I think, went a long way. I know people talk about the sort of trying to fit all the players in and then sort of because THIAGO's back fit and then Hendo can play at the back and sort of comfortable on the ball. But no, you know, ideally, no. Henderson is his lieutenant midfield, regardless of how elite THIAGO is. Henderson is his lieutenant. So ideally, he'd like Henderson in his midfield position. So, you know, that was very positive for me. That Klopp did say that it's not about doing something for the sake of it. It's about doing the right thing. So, and it's obvious to see, and he's talked about the right thing is we have no fit centre-backs as of now.
Yeah, I mean, it's before we go on, Ramez Khalil throwing a super chat in there. Thanks very much, Ramez. Thanks for the great content. Wanted your take on the game. My worry isn't the poor form. It's the negativity settling around the club and Klopp's mistakes the last few games. Would getting a centre-back give us a lift? Well, Ramez, I'll start on that. And what I'd say about that is the pressure that's being put on every part of the team because of the defence is taking its toll everywhere else. Now, I know why is Mo Salah, you know, not having a good game because the defence. Well, Mo Salah isn't having Jordan Henderson, for example, now doing his donkey walk on the right. Trent isn't having Jordan Henderson doing his donkey walk, or Fabinho is having to settle into a new position. He's having to babysit younger players. Like it's having a detrimental effect to the whole team. Now, will a centre-back give us a lift? We're going to go on and talk about centre-backs in the show. I don't know if it'll give us a lift, but it might just be something to stop the bleeding. And that's what I think we might need to do at the moment. You know, I think it's a case of anyone that doubts Jurgen Klopp, and I'm seeing a load of it on Twitter today, it's doing me head in, right? Is a fucking idiot because Jurgen Klopp is a great elite manager. He's made mistakes. Shawnee touched on not bringing centre-back in to replace Lovren. We didn't foresee Virgil and Gomez getting season-ending injuries. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm just saying, you know, no one can see that. You know what I mean? We've been so unlucky. Matip was always a question mark. We knew Matip was a question mark injury-wise. We couldn't foresee the two lads getting season-ending injuries. But the effect that's had on the team, and I'll let Shawnee jump in now, the effect that's had on the team, when you lose that solid base, we could get away last season with a 1-0 because we were so good at the back. We're not getting away with that now, and it's showing up in the forward. I think if we can stabilise the defence, someone alongside Fabinho, it's all we need. Someone good and reliable that's not a young lad that's putting too much pressure on him to stabilise the defence, and I think we would go to Shawnee.
Yeah, like you talked about Matip there. Now I'm not like, it's like I said again, hindsight is 2020. And when Lovren went, we were saying, well, we need a fourth choice. And me and Grizz had conversations in the summer when there was talk of Matip going to PSG, and we were both saying, do you know what? If the money is right, you snap your hand off and bring someone in up the level straight away, because like there's absolutely I have no issue at all with Matip's qualities as a centre back. I think when he's fit, he's excellent. He's arguably top 3 in the Premier League when fit. But the problem is he's not fit enough, often enough, and we just can't rely on him, sadly. Yeah. So it's something that we do definitely need to look at this summer going forward, because we don't know what shape Gomez is going to come back in. You could be fairly sure Virgil will come back as strong as he was. I don't have any doubts. I think when the first happened, I said he'd be back quicker than people expect, and that does seem to be the trend. We need a natural centre back, Keith. We need to get our best players into the position where they are best. We need Henderson in there, because I see THIAGO was getting quite a lot of stick on Reddit, because I'm off Instagram, Twitter, all of those. And my argument would be, I prefer THIAGO on the right-hand side of a tree, not as the deep line playmaker, because it didn't work for him last night. It was clear to see. And look, it's not like Thiago's come to England as being a bad player. He was still flashes of quality, but you've seen the cameo at Chelsea. We've seen the 90 minutes at Goodison Park. He was more effective there when he came on. So, like you said, Keith, Henderson is, regardless of what any wanker with an agenda says, right? Now, I lashed Henderson after the West Brom game, so I thought he was terrible. He was awful. But in the main, Henderson allows Trent to do what he does best, and he allows Mo what he to do best. That was our biggest issue last night. The whole right-hand side was completely off. This is like dominoes. It's like Lego. When you're missing a key component in your spine, it makes the rest of you weak or vulnerable. And that's what's happening right now. Now, the knee-jerk is over the top for me. You'd be mad to doubt Klopp. You'd be mad to doubt these lads. We're going through a bit of a rough patch. This is unprecedented ground in the last 2 seasons, even since Klopp came in, because we're in a patch now where it's one of us, normally one of our front 3 would bail out the other 2 if they're not doing it, but they all seem to be struggling at the moment. So it's just one of those things. We need to turn, we need to click into gear, and we will. And I agree, signing a natural centre-back, it wouldn't give us a lift. Like Key put it perfectly. It stopped the bleeding, and that's what we need right now. That's all we need right now. We need to stem the tide, get back in, and get momentum going again.
Yeah, I mean, we really do. And, you know, Grizz, something that you know, Shawnee has touched on there. We're going through a bad patch, and it's the first time in a couple of years that we've really gone through a bad patch. But, and this might sound ridiculous, it's probably the best time to go through this bad patch. Do you know what I mean? We're top of the league. Teams are after catching us up. If you start bad, it's hard to make up ground. And if you end bad, you're fucked. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to have a bad patch, you do it now. But we need to get back on track. You know, we need our big players to start playing again and to start performing, don't we?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You know, how then you try to evaluate sort of how bad a patch it is that we're having, and you try to give it some context. And I know it's so difficult in the moment, but, you know, as you've said, it's the worst patch that I can remember in terms of performance and results combined under Klopp, because sometimes we've had some brilliant results and the performance has been crap, or bad results, and, you know, so as a combination it's bad, but we're still top and we're still in the mix, and we've got one of the pretenders to the so-called pretenders to the crown next game, and it just so happens to be our arch rivals, Man United. So what better game to lift us,
and the fact that they're looking to break our home record as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, going back to sort of would a centre-back boost, I think it would 100% give the existing players, the existing likes of Henderson and who has to play there, an automatic boost as well. And sort of, you know, I definitely think that the club will have that same feeling, and I think Klopp will press to bring in a centre back, and we've got some interesting names to talk about.
Exactly. Thanks for the comment, Ramez. We've another one here from True United. This is music to my ears. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, send us another $2 and elaborate.
Another, because as a Man United, I'm assuming you're a Man United fan, and look, we welcome everyone into this chat. You know what I mean? Once people are respectful, then it's fine with us. But I'd love to know, United sniff blood and sense blood. And me personally, I'm delighted that it's Man United in the league next, because I think that this team will lift it. We're not lifting it for these small teams. I don't know why, but I'm hoping they can do it for Man U.
Just remember what happened a few weeks ago. Spurs were headhunting when they came to Anfield a couple of weeks ago. Exactly. The best front two in Europe. Here, listen, True United, music to your ears. Your captain is Harry Maguire, mate. Your first choice centre half is Harry Maguire. Boy, he was not bad, but his name should be Mr. Glass. So
he's not that massive.
We'll see you around come May, Chief, and you just enjoy a little run in the Europa come February and March, and that'll be all right. And just send another $2 if you've anything else to say. If not, then on your thought.
And that's it. That's that. So anyway, lads, let's move on and talk about some of the names that are getting bandied about the place. Because before we do, like, some of these names may not be household names, and some of them may be underwhelming. But as we sort of touched on, Shawnee, even a Clavan at this stage would be ideal to slot in there. So it doesn't have to be an Upamecano or an Alaba that comes in here. It can be just a competent centre back is all we need to get in there and stem the tide. So, Grizz, I'm going to start with you. Who's the first name you want to throw in to the chat?
So I think the way I'm going to go about it is the most recent link and the most, in that order, if you know what I mean. And and a good mate of mine told me just about an hour before the show, a couple of hours before the show, a fella called Felix Odehoy. Yeah, not bad, eh? I didn't do bad there, did I?
You had a good attempt.
So this fella plays for Salzburg, a left-footed centre-back, which seems to be quite prominent sort of skill in all the links, majority of the links, I should say. There's only one. And you got to remember, all these links are for January as opposed to centre-backs for Liverpool Football Club. So, people will not have heard of some of these, but that's the market kind of what they were operating in. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to the Upamacanos, who is 100% a summer target, which I spoke about a few months ago. He's still a summer target, but there's no chance of him coming in January. Do you know what I mean? Pierre Schurz, no chance in January. Alaba, no chance in January. Not much chance anyway. But Konate. So all these names are for summer. What we need now is a Clavan, as you said, but a far better, far more physical, far quicker, especially with the system we play now. Now this guy fits that criteria. He plays for Salzburg. I believe he was born in Nigeria.
Stephen O'Connor didn't he play for Wolfsburg? He did, Stephen. He played for Wolfsburg and he went on loan to Augsburg, and then they made it permanent in the summer. So he's permanent at Augsburg at the moment. Sorry, Grizz, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, one thing my mate didn't tell me about is what kind of price, but the age, the profile of the player is 23 years old. That's perfect. That's music to FSG's eyes. A young player with huge potential. I believe he's agreed to play for the German national team.
Well, he's been capped for Germany. Yeah, he's only the fourth ever Augsburg player to be capped by Germany.
And usually Germany has a history of great centre backs. But this fella supposed to be very quick, rapid, very comfortable on the ball. It's a name, and it's a serious link. It's not just a name in the wind that's just passed by. Apparently, we are very interested in this guy. I don't know what Salzburg's finances are like. I don't know if you used to will know what kind of state they're in financially. I mean, normally Germany are very well organized, foreign club, aren't they? So that may be an issue. But if we thought
the thing is, Grizz, they only signed them, I think, for $6 million in the summer. So this could be a quick flip for a bit of a, German clubs are well run. I think every business in the world has been impacted by COVID. Unless you're a courier, you're probably being impacted some way. So that could be a deal done. Shawnee, do you know anything about this fella?
Very little, Keith. I just, like you said, I throw on Scout Nation and stuff like that and have a look. And obviously the bits you see on YouTube are only the best bits. But I just had a flick through and had a look. Really good in the air, quick, and
Pretty
decent
quick.
enough on the ball, left side of centre half. So this seems to be what we're looking at. There seems to be a mould that they're looking at, and he seems to be another one. Now, this is mad because like when we saw the links to Jamal Lewis, it appeared that Simicast was first choice all along. So I think the club might be playing games here a little bit. I think names will be thrown out because there's been a few, like, you know what I mean? We've had Botman, we've had Carmo. He was another one. So, look, I don't know enough about any of them, to tell you the truth, but I've been studying them a little bit the last couple of weeks. See, the thing is, I'm a couple of lads I'm in a WhatsApp with. We have a football index. So football index is sort of like you pay stocks on players. So there is like a rising list, and you do see these names floating around. Now, his name is a name that floated about, and certainly Botman's name was one that floated about, because we have like a little group where we had there's a fella that plays for Lille called Jonathan Bambe, left winger, rapid, really good, banging in goals in the moment in the French league. And from watching him, I've seen bits of Botman, and Botman has always impressed when I've seen him. I've seen him twice against AC Milan in the groups, and then he had a really, really good game in the league against PSG. It was 0-0. He was probably the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, you said that at the time.
Yeah. So when we were linked with him, I was excited with that. Now, obviously, the usual suspect have pissed on chips as usual, but who knows what that means these days. So, look, there's a mould, clearly a mould that we're looking at. And it seems to be that they're buying with foresight. It's not a stopgap type of thing. So they are buying with foresight. They're buying with a look towards the future. Even though the current situation is an emergency, I don't think it's going to be an emergency signing. I don't think it's going to be like a Javi Martinez, so to speak, or a quick 6-month loan. They're looking for a long-term fix for a real short-term problem at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the thing I'd say about Udikoy is the player he got compared to recently, I was reading, is David Alaba. Believe it or not, he's very, very closely resembles Alaba, because he can play left back, he can play centre back, and he can play in midfield as well. Now, I'm not saying he's Alaba level. Obviously, Alaba is one of the best players in the world, but you know, it's a good comparison, and it gives you an idea of the type of player he is. But Sean, he's right. He's quick. He's highly rated. He's a young player that was very highly rated a couple of years ago, and maybe his progression slowed down. I know he had an issue at Wolfsburg with the coach, Lobadia, I think it was, and he sort of fell out of favour there and wasn't getting games. We would have only been 20, 21 at the time. So it's, you know, it's an interesting one, and it's the type of deal that makes so much sense. I don't know what the numbers would be like on him, but I can't see it being too high. Before we move on, Luke Johnson, Man United fan here. Love your work. Great. Listen, thanks very much, Luke. Thanks for the super chat. We try to be as fair, as balanced as we can on this show. So, look, thanks very much. Subscribe and hit that like button while you're there. But Udikoy is a very, very interesting one. It's one that, as Grizz touched on earlier, there's a certain type that we seem to be looking at, and we're going to talk about Udikoy, we're going to talk about David Carmo, we're going to talk about Sven Botman, and we're going to talk about Max Wower, and they're all left-footed centre-backs. Gleison Bramer is another one we'll talk about, and he's the only one of the links that's right-footed. So it seems like we're looking at that left-footed centre-back, and that to me says we're looking at players to become the understudy to Van Dijk when Van Dijk comes back. So it sort of makes sense that we're plugging a hole there where we'll probably do a bigger centre-back in the summer. I can't see us doing two now. Can't see us doing two, but it could be one to watch going forward. So Sven Botman is one that everybody got excited about. And Shawnee, would he be, you've touched on him there, would he be one you'd like to see us going? Is he the calibre of player that's better than just a plug-in four-choice centre-back?
Yeah, if in an ideal world, I think we should be getting Per Shores at some stage of his career. He was excellent against us in both of those games. But Botman, another one, that football index has been trending since he went there in the summer. Now, I know Lille are in a bad way in terms of finance. And there's a bit of smoke, there's a bit of gamesmanship going on there, because there was genuine messages from his friends floating around the internet saying that he was going to Liverpool. Now, it does smell a little bit like the THIAGO situation again, where it has been written off, but he looks excellent. He looks really good. He looks to have everything: dominant in the air, brilliant on the ball. He looks really, really good. He's a real physical presence as well, and just not one of these oafs. Not like not that Vidic was an oaf, but win everything, but can play ball as well, and just perfect fit. And falls in the price range now. Like I reckon if you could get him now, he's the best available player we could get now, I reckon. And I'd love if we could bring him in, because the few bits that I have seen of him has been brilliant. And then I had a look at the other fella of Braga, David Carmo, and he's like Lovren with roid rage. Like Matip with roid rage. He reminds me of Matip with roid rage. Big, gangly, not quick, excellent on the ball, but he's very, very front-footed and very strong in a challenge.
I'll tell you who reminds me of. Go on, Keith.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
No, I want to compare notes because we might be thinking along the lines, but mine's old school. Yeah. Oh, mine's old school. No, mine's.
We're talking about Carmo here, yeah.
Sorry, David Carmo. Yeah.
Well, who Carmo reminds me of is Federico Fazio, who played for Sevilla and at Roma and was at Spurs. He's 6'5". He can't move for shy, and he's one I don't want us to go for.
See, do you know,
the Portuguese Van Dijk.
Do you know who reminds me of? Winston Bogarde.
Winston Bogarde.
Winston Bogart. Yeah, I mean, honestly, God, he's not very quick, like Shawnee says, but he's far better than Winston Bogarde was. Why am I calling him Winston Bogarde? I must have heard it on a podcast. Winston Bogart.
One thing I will say about your man Carmo, I think he plays football with his brain. Like he does seem like one of them who was two or three steps ahead. Like he's mad. Watch him. Watch video. He's mad. Like, and you look up on him. He's very aggressive. Like they were comparing him to Pepe. Now Pepe gets massively overlooked, but Pepe was a world-class centre back for best part of a decade. Let's be honest.
You want Pepe in your team.
Yeah, you need a Pepe in your team.
Yeah.
So look. Let's say like these names are being thrown about. Liverpool are probably doing the Duke and have another one up the sleeve, but.
No, I just want to give some insight onto the Botman because I think I might have been the one who started that fire on Twitter. So, look, and it's only right I explain myself. Look, Botman's agent and Liverpool reps from Liverpool 100% spoke. Yeah. The clubs never got around to speaking, and that's why when I tweeted about the Botman links, I said the agent and player are very eager for the move, and that's what. And that was the state of it. Obviously, it's come to light that even though they're kind of in need of money, they're a very difficult club to deal with, and so are we. To be honest with you, we're a nightmare for other clubs. That we shall not be bullied. We will never get our sort of, and we've proven it. We've shown it in past transfers. So I think that's where the talks broke down in terms of, the player was very eager. We were eager, but then when it came down to sort of negotiating with Lille, the payment, they were asking for 25 million, I believe, and we were not 100% not prepared to pay that. We were offering like 15 million, and even that paid over 3 years. Do you know one of them ones? So I think that's broken down now at that stage. Carmo was another name I was given, and since I was given it, I've been studying him like mad as well, like Shawnee. But I'm against you lot in this one. I like him. I mean, I know you guys are calling him a hothead and et cetera, but I think there's potential for him to be an absolute beast at the back for us. Obviously, he needs coaching. Obviously, he needs nurturing. But I think he's got all the physical attributes to play specifically in this Premier League.
Grizz, can I just cut in there for a second? So, Musala LFC 21 has a super chat in there about the quality of the backups. None of them seem to be trusted or good enough to come in when the first 11 aren't performing. Shawnee, what do you make of that?
The quality of our backup? What backups like?
I'm assuming it's the Minaminos and the Shakiris.
Well, that's a very good point. Backups. Minamino probably has his best game in the Liverpool jersey and hasn't kicked the ball since. It's a bit weird. Shaqiri, I think this is pure like I'm guessing here, but I think there's an issue with Shaqiri and Klopp. I think something's gone wrong there. Because you look at the shite that the Swiss coach has talked.
Yeah.
There's no smoke without fire. Isn't that what they say? So I don't know. Like there was actually, I heard a rumour that Klopp actually got pissed off with Shaqiri because he went and got hair plugs at some stage of the season when he was needed to be around. And I heard that's being serious.
Yeah. He was gone for a while at that, wasn't he? Whereas Sadio seems to have got his hair plugs and is in playing, you know. So
yeah, I don't know. Origi is past last orders now at this stage. He did his bit. Look, he's not up to the level that we need anymore. And obviously Jota's injured. So look, we've been so unlucky with injuries this year with the way it's panned out that look at Tsimikas as well. Like we haven't even had to get a look at him yet. And the games that he played, he did look decent. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't that he was a busted flush or anything. He looked like he was at the level. We've just been terribly unlucky with injuries. And it's the timing of them as well, because you think, oh yeah, we're coming around now, coming into the Christmas period, we might get a break here, and then Matip and Jota break down. It's just been non-stop, and it just we're looking for light at the end of the tunnel, and we don't know when we're going to get there. It's a rough period to be a Liverpool fan, but at the same time, look at it, we're still top of the league, so how rough is it really? Do you know what I mean? Exactly, we need to kind of be to level-headed in these situations. I'll be interested to see what's out the team Klopp goes with on Friday, but to be honest with you, it's a season where when the fringe players, probably that game against Palace, bar Minamino, they haven't done it when they've been called upon. So
it's very true.
Does that as well. So
very true.
Yeah, look, we're in a bad spot at the moment. We're depleted as a squad. We just need to dig in and get through it. And a body in this window would help.
Yeah, and look, Musala, it's something that we will be discussing at the end of the show, the sort of makeup of the squad going forward as well. And Delvin's thrown in a super chat as well. And Grizz, I'll let you look at this one.
Sorry, I've just switched to the other one.
Yeah, lads, what's your thought on Romano tweet today that we're planning something special next summer? What do you think that means? Have you any opinion on that one, Grizz, or is it just the usual bluster from the likes of Romano, who tends to throw in?
It's fairly obvious what he's trying to hint at, and it's very, very true. I don't think it's any secret or hidden secret anymore, you know. And I believe it to be sort of in the works as well. That our number one every season, or every sort of under Klopp's tenure, we've had one major target, that game changer, that difference maker, that whether it's Alisson or the Verge or THIAGO was supposed to be for this season. Every season we've targeted one like that breaks the mold and breaks the fucking transfer window really, and that's Mbappe. It's an open fact that Jurgen Klopp is a massive fan. It's also almost like we've not spent money in recent windows, like overspent. And sort of, I know COVID mashed up a few things, but, from what I understand, from what I know as well, is our major, major target. And everyone says, everyone scoffs at it. And, me as well, when I first heard it, you think to yourself, Ronaldo, or in our dreams. Well, it's not dreams at all. It's about trying to make it a reality. And it's literally Madrid or us, as far as I'm concerned, for him. Unless there's a major U-turn in terms of he signs an extension because of Pochettino, which I really can't see happening. But I think he's alluding to Mbappe, and I think, as they say, it's got legs.
The clock is ticking on that Mbappe one, though, isn't it? Like, you look at his situation there at PSG, he's not going to sign a contract. So,
not a chance.
As I said, unless a massive U-turn.
The longer that drags on, like, the more acquirable he becomes. The thing with Mbappe, I think he's gonna have to he's not gonna get the wages that he gets somewhere. That he's gonna have to want to play for Liverpool for the sake of playing for Liverpool or Klopp.
Couldn't agree more.
I think this is the crucial factor. When we hear about Mbappe, the first thing that all of us said and all of us say is, "Oh, fuck off! We're not paying his wages." Do you know what I mean? We're not going to pay his way. But this is it. The fact that the kid wants to play for us absolutely 100% wants to pay for us. And the fact that the situation at Madrid, financially and managerial wise, isn't rock solid.
Well,
And the fact that he can go to us and still play for Madrid down his career, later on in his career, makes us a very viable option, sporting wise and every wise.
There's a show in Spain now. I'm trying to learn the language at the moment, so I watched this show in Spain. It's called Chiringuito. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it in the chat, but it's basically they come on every night at 11 o'clock in Spanish time, and they talk about La Liga or whatever. And this is run by the channel AS. Now, when you look into it, you can normally see what angle Madrid are going at or Barcelona are going with when this comes around. And it was apparent with Coutinho at the time and Hazard the year before last. It looks like to me that Madrid are huge on Son because AS are starting to move the pieces in terms of it looks like the usual Real Madrid tactic of letting the player know that he's desired and he's wanted there. And it seems to me that Son is their main target next year. Now, for obvious reasons, like we don't need it. Madrid is an institute, but at the same time, it's one of the biggest businesses in the world. And the thing is with Salah and Son is they open up massive marketing opportunities in different sides of the globe. And if Son was to sign for Real Madrid, he would literally be the biggest thing to ever come from that country. And they know that. Now, we look at the impact Salah has had in Egypt with his move to Liverpool and becoming a world star. It seems to be the route that they're looking at there. Yeah. So I do think Mbappe is possible, but it would depend on one of our front three moving on. So it's going to, look, it's interesting. It's going to play out and it's going to be one of those sagas. And I think we'll be involved. And it's just nice to know now that we're at the table for these top players. You know what I mean? We're in the mix. Like I said, Mbappe, if he wants to play for Liverpool, I can't see it happening. It's not a pipe dream anymore. People shouldn't be scoffing at that.
That's my point. This notion of just shunning it away and saying, "Oh, be quiet, get real."
You look at Nike, look at Klopp, look at Nike, look at Klopp. Yeah. Like we're a juggernaut now, and we're in the mix. So we should be looking at it that way. Now look at United, through United to be able to tell you. Look at for years and years the top class players who went to play for United when they were shy just because they were getting a big wage. We can't allow that to happen. So, and I don't think we will. But Mbappe seems like a kid with his head in the shoulders, and he seems to be storing up a nice relationship with LeBron at the moment as well. Yeah. Which
the planets are all aligning on this one, aren't they? Like, it
does seem to be one of those things. And look, people in the chat can be laughing and all, but who the fuck would have thought we were able to nick THIAGO out there at that stage? You know what I mean? So even though it is different, but definitely one to keep an eye on. I'm looking forward to it because I think in the last few games, I would have loved someone like a Haaland, or if Joe Walsh is watching, I would have loved someone like a Harry Kane, a predator, someone when you're a beast in the box. I think that's what we need at the moment that we haven't got. Even if we get, look, Costa is gone at this moment. Imagine bringing in Costa for the last 6 months of the season as a wild card. You know what I mean? Something like that. I think we need a change attack going into next year in terms of attacking because bar Jota, teams to kind of have to run on us. Jota getting in behind and making those late runs has really made a difference for us and won us a couple of games this year. So be interesting to see what way we go into the summer. It's great because there's so many young talents available that we definitely am going to shout for.
Yeah, indeed. Philippe Hunt throws in a super chat. Thanks very much, Philippe. Great show, lads. The United game's the most important of the season. Win it, we're back on top, and it'll galvanise our players. Sign a new centre back. Now, look, we've said that we, get back to winning ways as quick as possible. Psychological blow. If we get it over United, brilliant. It's a double whammy on them, lads. And as Shawnee said earlier, Spurs came to us where they were about to do a title charge, and then we saw it to them. You know what I mean? So it can be done. Musal follows up, but he was mainly thinking about Trent and Nico as a backup. Maybe, Nico hasn't probably pushed on. He's had a few difficult games. Been okay the last couple of times he's played, but he's a bit of a drop off. And I think fans would want us to have quality backups in every position, and it doesn't really work that way for Liverpool for their business model, unfortunately, at this moment in time. But look, who knows? Give that like button a smash there. Anyone that's watching, we've about 138 likes, 517 watching us. Which
again.
you know, just hit the like. We hate asking for it, but just hit the like. So anyway, we'll move on. David Carmo, do we want to touch on him anymore, or have you dealt with him?
Yeah, we've covered him.
We've
I like
him.
him. You two don't like him. We've got that.
It's not that we don't like him.
It's just I get what you mean. I see why you like him. I don't think he's the one for our system, though. I don't. I think him with a high line, it wouldn't suit his game.
The issue that we have with him is the pace.
Because you'll be seeing what happens when you try to put centre backs into systems that don't suit them, i.e. Lovren. Lovren is a terrible one-on-one defender. That one thing as well I noticed about Karma is he's an intense one-on-one. When I watched him, do you ever see Wan-Bissaka? He relishes every single one-on-one challenge. Now, a lot to be said about the rest of his game, but one-on-one, he's one of the best defenders I've ever seen, Wan-Bissaka, to be honest.
He's excellent.
Carmo does remind me of something like that. Maybe we'd be looking at something like that, but I think we need a system player. We need a system player. We don't need one-on-one defenders. We need a system player to allow this high line so we can continue our pressure.
And to watch.
We talked about,
But where's the difference with Carmo maybe and Sven Botman, for example, is Botman's distribution is absolutely world class for a centre back, for a young centre back. He's brilliant with the ball. Carmo may be more physical. So, you know, what do we want? As Shawnee said, you put a slower player.
Carmo can spray it about as well.
Oh, he is good. He is good with the ball.
I don't think he's quick enough. I think we need pace. Because when you watch all of these little videos that the lads do, Robbo, Trent, Jordan Henderson, you see Mane going on to Soccer AM doing teammates. The two names that come up for quickest player is always Gomez and Virgil. It's always them. I think how quick they are is completely slept on.
And I'm going to get upset. Don't talk about them two names. I'm going to get upset.
Sorry, it's a massive part of our system that we're able to rely on their recovery pace. So we do need someone with the recovery.
And that's probably where Felix Udokoy is coming into the fore as well, because he is a very quick centre back and he does have that recovery pace.
Segue. If you want to talk about pace and recovery pace, you can segue into the next name we've got, which is Gleison Bremer of Torino.
Go ahead, Grizz.
So another, but this is different from the other ones that we've mentioned and talked about, and probably the last one that we're going to talk about after this. In terms of this is a right-footed centre back, strong as an ox, lightning in terms of pace. If we want pace and recovery pace, again another one-on-one type defender like Sean was talking about, Carmo. But I don't like him personally, but you know he's got rave reviews. He's got a lot of, and the reason why I don't like him, he reminds me a lot of Lovren and another type defender that we were linked with is Kabak, in the mold of not very sharp in the mind. You know, I'm just giving my opinion. It could be sort of offensive.
Lovely.
But yeah, he's not very sharp in the mind in terms of intelligence. And I think Klopp does like his defenders to be fairly intelligent. But he's got the raw physical attributes. He would definitely be the cheapest option out of all the options. And I don't want to get the FSG outers on FSG's case, but if we went for cheap and cheerful, Gleison Bremer would be the man from Torino. I don't think he would cost more than 8 to 10 million. And even that, they'd accept our terms. So if we wanted a cheapest chips option, I think he's the one we would probably go for, but I hope we don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. Shawnee, do you know much about this fella?
Not a lot. Again, similar to the other lads, I'm not going to say here, Botman would have been one that I've actually watched games of, like 90 minutes observed. I haven't seen much of this fella, but I think Grizz is spot on there. He's playing in the Torino side that are a bit mad and ship a load of goals. I don't think he's so much. If it's cheap, it's cheap.
They're one place outside the relegation zone in Serie A. You know?
Yeah, so that they're not. It's not what we need at the moment. It really isn't. He's not the type of player that we need. It's so difficult because we're not buying players here to help us get into the top four. We're trying to win titles here, like Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and It's the level that we kind of need, and it's so hard in January to get those players unless you're going to spend money, and the noise is are not going to spend big money. So we're in a bit of a between a rock and a hard place at the moment. But look, FSG can have they need to if it comes to it, we can't be pinching pennies here, because if we don't get a player in, and I'm not a transfer junkie, so to speak. I am of the mind that you can do a lot of work on the training pitch, but unfortunately you can't get fucking players off the sick bed onto the training pitch if they're just dealing with long-term injuries. So we need to dip into the market now, and if we don't, it will be a grave mistake for this season.
A missed opportunity for a season that's up for grabs, isn't it? Like that, for the sake of just bringing a body in.
Yeah.
As our own book says there, guess Sacco, Degsy and Ragnar get the old gang back together. And they're all have their flaws, but we just need a working centre back to come in and do a job for us.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. You know, a lot of those players, came in handy at the right time. You know, say what we want about them, like go through those names, and we'd think, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? But listen, I think we'd all agree we could do with them any of them names right now. Do you know what I mean? Just stand alongside Matip.
I said the other day in a fucking WhatsApp that I'd take Robert Hoot if it just. We need a body. We need.
This is where I disagree with both of yours thinking in terms of, and probably Liverpool's as well, from what we're hearing from the local journals, etc., is that we won't go for a short-term fix, as in a loan or even someone at the latter stages of his career. I personally would, guys. I think it's imperative to do something. I'd go against what Klopp said.
There's a load of names getting thrown in the chat there tonight. So we've Eder Militao off Real Madrid. We've Mary Demirel at Juventus. We've got Javi Martinez thrown in.
See, if Javi Martinez could give us 6 months of fitness, and then I know, I hear all the negatives about him.
What a footballer though.
But he was such a good footballer. And and that's what that type of full, and he's good in the air. He's not slouching in the air. He's 6 foot plus. He's very physical. I get
at this stage.
Yeah, I get that. But Keith, Lovren wasn't major league quick.
Yeah.
Matip is major league quick.
Yeah, but the boys had Virgil.
Yeah.
You said the name. You've upset me.
It's awful, isn't it? Like, you could get Ezekiel Garoy as well for free, but again, he's coming off bad news.
He wasn't even good when he was fit. So sod his. I don't even get that. Fuck his bollocks.
You could put Razor Ruddock in beside Virgil and you'd be grand, because you just know he'd be covered. You know what I mean?
Put Razor Brady in beside him and you'd be grand.
Yeah, exactly. But look, the noises are that we weren't going to do anything in this January, and that's what I was told as well. We seriously weren't, which is mad to me anyway at the time. But since the Matip injury, etc., there's been a change of sort of attitude, and now it's more, if we're going to do something, we might as well do it now and do it for the long term, as opposed to just get a fix in now, which I disagree with personally. I think regardless of the situation, you bring in a real centre back now.
I would literally pay a 6-month loan and sign somebody. I'd bring 2 in. Yeah. That's the God honest truth.
I would as well.
Honest to God. That's in an ideal world. I think that would be logical as to how this season is panning out. Congested, loads of games, loads of injuries. We've seen what can happen with a bit of bad luck. It wouldn't be bad to just have an insurance policy there for 6 months. Someone like, if you brought Javi Martinez and said, look, you're probably going to sit in the bench most weeks, but you're just there in case we need you. You're there the last 20 to manage a game. You're there to come on in a cup game or wherever we need them. We could deal with someone like that. We're desperately in need of bodies, lads. Like last night, I don't know whether last night was a message from Klopp, but I will say something. I didn't get to talk about the game on the channel since, because it was only last night, and I know he's done a post match. Klopp took a chance last night and it backfired big time regarding Hendo or CB. I don't know, Gav said we always thought, if there was anyone you're going to put in there, I don't know whether this was kind of Klopp's way of saying to the board, which doesn't strike me as a type of coach to do something like that. Look, we're playing I'm playing me captain here, centre back, away from home, with me other most reliable midfielder. We need fucking something. We can't be pinching pennies here because we desperately need somebody. It's not like this isn't knee-jerk or reactionary. We've known nearly since October now that we were going to need a body in January. I think as soon as Virgil went down, we said, yeah, all right. We seen Fabinho at Chelsea. They look great. Then Gomez, what happens to Gomez happens to Gomez, and then all of a sudden we have to rely on Matip. And
Fabinho was injured as well at that stage, wasn't it?
Yeah, we haven't been able to rely on Matip in a good spell.
Yeah,
at the club, and that sounds harsh because he's been excellent when called upon, but you just knew he was going to be in and out at some stage.
Yeah. His best period was the year we won the Champions League, wasn't it? He sort of nailed down his position, and then the following season he breaks down a couple of games in, and he's gone.
At the back end of the season when we won the Champions League, I would argue he was battering Virgil in most games. It was fucking unbelievable. But look, we need to do something.
Well, we've spoke about Botman, we spoke about Udikoy, we spoke about Carmo, and we've spoke about Bremer. The last name that's heavily linked with us is Max Wober. He's an Austrian centre-back at RB Salzburg. It's a tried and tested route, and there's an obvious link there with ourselves and Salzburg. Grizz, do you know anything about Wober at Salzburg?
No, not as much as you. I'll let you take this one. I just know again that he's in the mold of the left-sided centre-back, very good on the ball. You wouldn't expect anything less from anyone from Salzburg, and they're very much the modern-day Ajax. So from that aspect, that's all I know about him. But I'm sure you can fill us in more.
Yeah, Wober is one. He's an interesting one. Look, the
very highly rated.
Very, very highly rated.
Very highly rated.
The Minamino move hasn't worked out for us as of yet, in the sense, Salzburg to Liverpool is a big jump. Haaland, when Salzburg went to Dortmund, if he'd go Salzburg to England, it might have been a bit harder. Wober is one that intrigues me because he is very highly rated, and anytime I've seen him, and I've seen a fair bit of him because I've watched a lot of Salzburg, for the reason that we're constantly linked with Patson Daka. We're constantly linked with Dominic Soboloi. We were linked with Minamino, we were linked with Wang, we were linked with Haaland, we were linked with a lot of them, and there's the connection there. He's one that would be good. Now, he's not of the level of Botman at the moment, but he's an interesting one. Again, he's 22, he's left-footed centre-back. It seems to be as we've said, it seems to be a
theme with our centre-backs here.
With the exception of Bremer, they're all left-footed.
Wober, I saying the comparisons to Wober that I saying was they reminded him a bit of Joshua Kimmich, like that. Yeah. He could be the type of player who could end up playing midfield, play fullback. He's a footballer that plays with his brain, and they're always good to have.
And it is interesting. That's a great comparison, and it's similar to the Udikoy one gets compared with Alaba. So we're probably looking at who's just below the Kimmich and the Alaba level, and that's where we're looking. So maybe it could be. I don't know what the money would be for someone like Wober, but I think we could do business with Salzburg fairly cheap as well. It might be, let's say, around the 20 million mark. That's doable. Do you know what I mean? And he's at an age where you can bring him in, and then you can develop him as he goes on. It'd be interesting to see.
Can I just throw a cat among the pigeons with that Salzburg thing? Would we? Let's just keep it between ourselves. Let's not put this to the chat in case we get lynched. But just between the three of us, would we give Minamino back in that kind of deal?
They wouldn't take him back, Grizz. They're done with him.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
That's a one-way system at Salzburg. You know what I mean? It's not like
they're literally a money-making machine. Like literally.
I think as far as Red Bull goes, their main man is Leipzig. So Leipzig would probably have a Keita back, so to speak. They probably have a Werner back. But I think Salzburg, they'll just keep the train running, sort of. They'll bring the next one in. The Soloi's there. There's a lad there, Okafor now, who's at the filling in there for Minamino, who's been excellent for them. So they're just churning out players. They'll continue to do so. Look,
And I just thinking out loud between.
No, it's a fair point because Minamino, like, when is he going to play?
Exactly.
If he's not
You
gonna
said
use-
it earlier, Sean. He has his best game for us and hasn't been seen since.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point, Chris. The reason why I don't think it'll happen is we haven't taken advantage of Minamino yet, but I'd love to know what his short sales are. I'd love to know what his numbers are commercially. Do you know what I mean? From the Asian point of view.
Well,
And
it's
I'm not saying
weird that as well that we
cynical,
haven't even had to get we haven't had the impact of like you see with Son, you see them all around the Koreans all around the ground. We haven't had that either. So they could sell, like the club could sell packages to the Japanese crowd, like
this
no
fella
other.
this fella is huge over there, isn't he? And
Yeah,
that's
he
why
is
I
mega.
think we wouldn't do it. That's why I
still think that he can be really good because if you look at if you look in the pre-season, he was flying. You just look. We're at the halfway point, and midfield is probably the one area where we haven't got to try and test everyone yet. So he's going to play games. He's going to play on Friday. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on Friday, I'd say.
Yeah, very true, very true. Before we finish up, Shawnee, we're talking about midfield there. I know an issue is how this squad is shaping up and going forward next season, how the squad will be made. And I know you have issues about the midfield. What do you think? How do you think that's going to...
It's a worry for me because I think transfers, we look at Michael Edwards and all of those, and we're looking in this January window where Michael Edwards is probably looking at summer 2022, 2023 already. These lads are always working with foresight. That's what they've done brilliantly. If you look at the hit rate, I'd say, for Liverpool transfers, I'd say since Klopp come in, I'd say the success rate of signings would be in the high 80%.
Yeah, 100%.
That's huge. That's big, especially when you're churning out money. So I think this summer is tricky. I think probably a year before we'd like to, we have a mini rebuild on our hands already because we don't know what's going to happen with Genie. It looks more and more bleak. The less, like, no news is bad news at this stage. And then you have to look at Keita. You have to look at Ox. You have to look at these players that look, no doubt. Shaqiri, another one. No doubt their quality, but they're just not available enough. No matter what you say, no matter what stat you show me, I have absolutely nothing against any of these players individually. I think Ox has had really good periods for us. I think Keita has shown some flashes of him potentially being really, really world class. Just not available enough. And the best asset, the best attribute is availability, and they just have not been there. And if you look through our squad now, like I said earlier, we don't know what sort of shape that Gomez is going to come back in. Matip is not very reliable.
So let's start there then, Shawnee. Let's start there.
So you're looking at the summer. If you're looking at in the summer, right, you're going to have to replace Genie.
Yeah.
All right. Now, people saying, Curtis Jones might replace Genie. Yeah, okay. Curtis Jones might replace Genie, but let's put a bit of respect on Genie's name here. An elite ball carrying midfielder, not many of them in Europe. He's arguably the best around. He plays 42 to 45 games a season. No hassle. Nothing.
Yeah. No issue with his availability.
No issue at all. Not ever since he joined, I can't remember him being out for an extended period of time. Jones has all the tools to be an excellent footballer, but for the 45 game season, is he going to be the man to win your league titles? I wouldn't be pinning me hopes on him. Not yet. He's a kid. No. It's unfair on him to have such high expectations. He still needs to develop. Keita, same problem since he's come into Liverpool. Showed flashes, but just always picking up these little niggles. Can't seem to shake them off. It's a real shame because there obviously is a real player in there, but we can't afford passengers like him around. No. Oxlade-Chamberlain played with injuries as well. Had some really good moments. Had some notable lows. And I will say something about Keita. He hasn't had many notable lows. When he's played, he's looked good. Or he's looked great. I can't imagine a game where Keita stunk the gaff out. Now, there's been a few where Ox has stunk the gaff out. If we're going into the summer needing two midfielders, a centre-back, and looking to do a big deal for a striker, as we talked about, that's a mini rebuild, and mini rebuilds are not good.
Now I know
These things will be gradual. Building a new squad is the toughest thing. This is why fucking Fergie is the best, in my opinion, because he done this consistently.
he always knew when to do it, didn't he? He knew when to pull the trigger.
Klopp is a legend for what he's done, but a lot will be said about it. It's how you think about it when you go. So this is a huge year for Klopp coming up, and for Edwards and the recruitment team.
But do you think it's something, and Grizz will even bring you in on this, something Shawnee touched on there, is the best ability is availability. Let's say we replace Matip.
That was my line, by the way.
It's a great line. It's a great line.
Thank you.
We replace Matip. We don't know what Gomez comes back like, let's say, right? We have to look at that. We have to look at Genie going. We have to look at Milner being in, 35 now. We have to look at Ox, and we have to look at Keita being unavailable. We've got, Shaqiri in the front and Divock, right? So it's a lot of bodies that could leave or you could look to replace. If you could get in, let's say you're taking out 8 players out of a squad. We don't need to get 8 players in. We just need to get players, and you can't tell if a player gets injured or not. You just can't tell that. We didn't see Van Dijk getting injured. But could you see a thing where, you get rid of 8 and you bring in 4 and supplement what you have there? So let's say we bring in a defender now, right? Let's say we bring in Udakoi, let's say now. We replace maybe, I don't know, Matip goes in the summer, we bring in Per Shores, right? For argument's sake, we bring in Per Shores. So that gives us Per Shores, Van Dijk, Udakoi, and
Gomez, fingers crossed.
Gomez, right? With Fabinho, who can play there. We bring in to the midfield, we're losing a lot of bodies out there. We'd still have Hendo, Thiago, Fabinho, Jones. We bring in, let's say, Hossam Aouar gets mentioned an awful lot, right? We bring in Hossam Aouar and we bring in one other.
We bring back Gruitch.
Well, you could do. Yeah, I don't know.
I think
Klopp rates him, to be honest. But
I think there could be a place for Gruitch, especially with the way they must have known Ginny's not going to accept and sign, and with Gruitch, progression. To be honest,
Gruitch is doing really well in Portugal now as well, so he's doing well wherever he goes. And
this is what I mean. This is what I mean. We can't look. FSG have never been, and even under Klopp or since we can remember, they've never been owners that go wild. Even though a rebuild, and we've discussed it, and you've broken it down very well, that there is a mini rebuild that should have started off this season, this summer, but because of the COVID, we weren't able to start that. But we still managed to do something in terms of Jota and Tsimikas, right? Thiago wasn't for the rebuild. Thiago's for the moment, but the Jota very much was in the thought process in terms of
exactly.
Right?
That's the way.
Now we bring in a centre back. We bring in a centre back this January. We bring in a main centre back, a more known name or pricey or more longer term project, or a stronger centre back in this summer. That's why I genuinely believe we 100% go for a forward, because I personally think 100% a forward is leaving us, but that's for the summer. We'll talk about that another time. So that's like for like. Now, the ones that are on the peripheral are the names, the usual suspects every year: Ox, Keita, Matip, Shaq. That's 4 players. I think we'll all agree, if we got rid of them and utilized those funds for an efficient 2, in terms of, right? So I've already got a centre back, right? That's already in there. A cheaper option now and a more pricier one in summer. And then we're looking at another top world-class forward and a top world-class utility type central midfielder, can do bits and bobs. I think that's the line that FSG will be thinking, our recruitment service will be thinking.
So you're bringing in Per Shores, Hossam Aouar and Kylian Mbappe in the summer, and that's your rebuild done.
And that's not your rebuild done. You see, it won't happen in one window. That's the thing. Because of this summer, go on. If we could add another 3, that's your rebuild mostly done.
Sorry, Grizz. I think the best signing we could make between now and the end of the season is Genie getting a new contract. I know there's calls for ruthlessness, but Grizz, he's just always available. And if
listen, I have to salute him for this season. I can't disrespect Ginny and say I disagree with you there, but I'm not going to change my stance on Ginny. You know, I have to salute him for what he's done in his career. Forget this season. As you said, you cannot put any disrespect on his name. But, you know,
people are thrown in this, like, we're looking at a little bit of a new spine here. Like, that's
scary a little bit.
It is a little bit scary when you think about it, because, look, not that we're an aging team, but everyone is in that pump now. So, and what clubs do is they sell at this time. It's like stocks. You sell the stocks when you know they're at the highest, and we will have sports scientists who know exactly how many miles are on the clock of every single one of those players. So they will know when prime time is to sell. Now, the thing is, it's not really a seller's market at the moment with the current situation that we're in, unfortunately. But something has to give. Something has to give. Look, it's unfair on these group of players to expect them to do it again and again and again. It's just not possible. It's not possible.
I think this season has proven that, isn't it? That even 3 seasons, because we've done the Champions League final the year before. You know, it's a lot of minutes and a lot of miles in the legs of the core squad players that we have. And we do need to freshen that up. I think we need to get something in there. As you say, Shawnee, Genie, there's not many can do what Genie can do. And to keep Genie in there.
I really do. I think he's so overlooked at how good of a footballer he is. He could literally go anywhere he wants now next summer. Like, if you found out that Bayern were going to take him, you'd be like, yeah, I can see why. If you found out that Real Madrid were going to take him, you'd be like, yeah, regardless of his age, I can see why. He's class. He's unbelievable. It's kind of annoying that it looks like that he's on the way out, but it's just, we need to be looking at, we need to be thinking about going forward. We're always in the now, and that's good. It's important to be in the now when the team is playing so well. Not at this very moment, but with the patch that we've been going through, I think the rebuild, like Grizz said, we may be 6 months late in the beginning of the rebuild, and that it's a potential problem.
Yeah, no, true, and you're right about Ferguson. He always did have the rebuild in mind, but it's ironic that he left him in a shit when he left, because he was so desperate to get that leg in that he didn't really leave them in a good state when he actually left Man U. But look, he done it for years, and Klopp, it's one criticism you can have at him, you know what I mean, that he done okay at Dortmund. He won the league, and then he refreshed the squad there, but it's a big one that he has on his hands this year out with Liverpool. You know, we probably should have started, and we did start. The Simicast came in, Jota came in, as you said. It'll be interesting to see what we do next. You know, it'll be interesting to see. But lads, we've spoke about centre backs. There's no real news. I know we're linked with Udikoy is a strong one at the moment. We think they're going to do a centre back. We'd like them to do a centre back.
I'm guaranteeing it, Keith.
Oh, good stuff. It might not be a David Alaba, but it could be Felix Udikoy, who's the new David Alaba. So look, we'll do something, I'd say, and we'll all be happy again. But I just want to thank everyone in the chat again. You know, it's kicking there tonight. It's over 600 watching at the moment. We've had fans from other teams in there. Show respect, you know, all that. It's like I said, we're open to people.
New names in there as well, which is good to see.
Exactly. We're open to people coming in and joining us. We don't dish out too much stick if people don't give too much stick. You know the way, if you come on being smart, you'll get lashed out. It's the way the place is. But, you know, we're open to people coming on. We don't try to ram our stuff down people's throats. We like what we do. Hit that like button if you can before we finish up. It helps us grow the show. Before we finish, I do want to
Richard Hell gave a super chat with a pound, but for whatever reason his comment didn't come up. He said he'd look, what do we think of John McGinn, and would he be a player that we look at?
John McGinn would be a very, very Liverpool player, I think. He would be
a Liverpool under Dalglish or Rodgers. I don't think.
Yeah, I think he's quite good at the press. I think we're
shopping in different shops now. I think we're in flannels now and Selfridges. We're not going.
We don't shy away from these undercover little just gems, Shawnee.
Oh,
I know
he's
we
a little
are.
animal. He
But
is a little animal.
let's say, for example, we were to get rid of, make a call on Koita. I don't think we will. I think Koita is a good player. He's just not available enough. Koita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Milner, and Genie leave. That's 4 midfielders out the door. Would you take a McGinn and an Aouar in to replace those 4?
Yes, absolutely.
I would. And that's where I see McGinn as the sort of maybe the bottom end of it, but the type of signing that would supplement the bench. And that's where I think he'd be excellent for us. I think he's very good.
I think, not to sound like Brendan Rodgers here, but I think character is a big thing as well. And he's a little animal as well. So it would be great to have around it. But look, Villa are flush. Villa don't fucking need anybody's money. So they'd be asking for mental money for him. That's the thing. It's not like you're going to get a little gem for 15 or 20 million. You're going to have to pay up.
Basuma is going to be a massive target for the summer for the central midfield from Brighton. I think he's going to be a massive target.
Basuma, class.
Yeah, could be. There's going to be a few players like that will be getting linked, isn't there, heavily? Before we finish up, I just want to mention about something that we spoke about before on the show, Keane Strong, trying to get the young lad to 100,000 target. Look, we're not ramming it down people's throat. We know money is tight for a lot of people. If you can share the message on Twitter, or you'll see the stuff in the show description and all. If you can share the message, if you can donate, great. If you can't, we're going to try and help this lad get there. And I know Gav has something big lined up. We're not ready with that yet, but we will have something in the near future on that one. But I just wanted to just shout it out there. If you can look up the message around Keane and just share it through the channels, that would be great. Grizz, thanks very much. Transfer agenda, this is what you live for.
Oh, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? Football man like me. But yeah, no, thank you. It's been good. It's been good this again. You know, I don't think we're looking to do much business. So, you know, from a Liverpool point of view, you know, we'll try to do as many shows as we can. And if there's anything breaking, we definitely be online. But, you know, we promised our viewers and listeners, THIAGO. I think we're promising them a centre back as well. So let's see how it goes.
That's what we like to say. And Shawnee, thank you very much for jumping on as well tonight.
Cheers, gents. Pleasure as always.
Good stuff. So yeah, look, thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. We've been the LFC Daytrippers. This has been the Transfer Agenda, and we'll talk to you again soon.